Yes. Okay, good morning. My name is Stamatios Papadakis. I'm an assistant professor, not in this department. I am in the Pedagogical department. We are located in the city of Crete, 75 kilometers from here. I am the Department of Preschool Education, and I am teaching programming, educational robotics, and AI in education. So, today I'm going to present you how I am trying to educate my students, which are going to become kindergarten teachers or even primary school teachers, because we are School of Education, so I'm having students both from two departments, from the Department of Preschool Education and the Department of Primary Education. And I am trying to educate them the basic skills of programming and coding. I'm treating them as novice programmers, and because the majority of them are women, are female students, almost 99% are female students. They are bringing with them the stereotypes regarding the role of female students in programming, in coding, and so on. So my approach is that I'm trying to inspire them in coding activities and to inform them that coding is very useful for them, both as a tool to teach their future preschoolers, but also as a tool to make their daily teaching practice even better and more powerful. So, I know we don't have enough time. I'm not going to speak a lot, just 5 minutes, and then we are going to work together, the tool that I have found very useful to educate them in basic coding skills. So, I suppose most of them, just a question, how many of you are in the pedagogical departments? Only you. Okay. So, why we are teaching, not only myself, but globally, why we are teaching computational thinking skills, coding skills in early childhood education? Because globally, we have now recognized after decades of research that is a necessity, both for students and teachers, of course, to introduce them in the basic skills of computational thinking. First, this began with a very famous paper of Janet Wing in 2006, and afterwards, all of the scientists and the organizations worldwide recognized this necessity. And why? Because by teaching children from the very, very beginning in this kind of skills, it's very useful for them to make them what we are calling digital creators instead of digital consumers. In other words, we try to cultivate them problem-solving skills, creativity skills, and of course the umbrella that we are calling 21st century skills. And of course, as we are here in Europe, European Union follow this approach, and almost every year in EU calls asks for this necessity and for these introductions in educational systems. And this is the most recent approach of EU. It was already published at the beginning of March this year. It's called European Union Quality Union of Skills, and it's asking again and give a lot of money for this approach to make something, proposals like Teachers Academy and so on, especially to teach preschoolers in basic skills and STEM education. And the target, the focus of this approach is to introduce all learners from early childhood in this kind of skills. And, of course, why it's important the early childhood education? Because we have found from research that if we introduce preschoolers early in this kind of skills, we boost their reading skills, their math skills, and of course, digital and citizenship skills. And of course, as I already mentioned, computational thinking supports executive functions, logical reasonings, and persistence. This is very important because if you are familiar with the theories of Piaget in the 60s and 70s, for instance, Piaget and all these pedagogists supported the idea that all these kind of skills were too abstract for young age children. For instance, Piaget support that the best age to introduce this kind of skills to students was after the finish of primary schools. But now we have recognized that based on developmentally appropriate approaches and tools, it's useful to introduce all these kinds of skills since the age of 4 and 5 years old. And the tool that I have found very useful to work with my students, and these students later on to introduce to preschool education and primary education, is Scratch Junior. I don't know if you are familiar with Scratch. Scratch is like the older brother. It's a very powerful tool, but this tool is not best for young age children because it's based heavily on reading skills. But we know that preschool students do not know to read. So this kind of tool was created especially for this age group because, first of all, it's developmentally appropriate, because it is the way we work with it, and you are going to see now, it's accurating storytelling skills, problem-solving skills, but also has some very great benefits, especially for the Greek educational system, which we are not so rich like other countries, for instance, Finland or Germany and so on. A biggest advance for me is that it's completely free. There are other tools, but they are not free. Also, it's multi-language. What it means for me, it supports Greek. Very important. And also, it's multi-platform. This is also very important for me because in our kindergartens, for instance, imagine that we have one PC for 20 children and one tablet. And so, this is multi-platform. It means that we can use it in Android phones, in iPhone phones, in iPads, in Android tablets, but also there are two other versions that are very useful. We have a version for PC or for Mac, and also we have a web version. So this characteristic gives us the flexibility to have an adequate number of machines to work with it in kindergarten classrooms and also in primary school classrooms. And, for instance, based on what they call EU basic skills, here also you can see how Scratch Junior, this app, supports what European Union asked for us to educate young children. For instance, we can, based on various activities, very easy for the children, we can introduce digital competence, learning to learn, problem-solving activities, cultural expressions, social and civic competence, which is very important for them, and of course mathematical competence, and so on. Okay, now, based on this, I have created a whole curriculum in my classrooms, and to try effectively to educate my students. And you can see this is the environment we are going to work with it. It's totally based on blocks, on command blocks, graphical design interface. You can see that it has minimal text, just the name of duck, for instance, or octopus, and so on. So children very, very effectively can work with it even after the first lessons because it doesn't count on previous language. And now, what tools I'm using in my classroom with my students to help them very easily cultivate their skills. First of all, I have an active collaboration with Boston College in the United States and with MIT, Massachusetts Technological Institute, the best educational institution worldwide. And we have created and adapted in the Greek settings a whole curriculum. The curriculum is called CAL, coding as another language, because we face coding as an approach together with code skills to introduce literacy skills, mathematical skills, social competence skills. And based on this, we have created some small books to introduce children both on fictions and non-fictions activities. This is the skill, this is the books. This is the fiction book, fairy tale, and this is the book, and it's important because we choose to create a story, a real story, based on Hypatia. I don't know if you know Hypatia. Hypatia was supposed to be the first woman scientist in the human history. She was very famous. She was an astronomer, mathematician, and so on. And we choose especially to make this for Hypatia because, as my majority of my students are female students, I wanted to tell them that even from the ancient years, Greek woman was very good in science, mathematics, technology, and so on. So as not to reproduce the gender stereotypes, but instead to eliminate them. Also, with permission from MIT, I have translated and edited this book in Greek language. So my students have this book with full of guides how to work with it and how to make connection with literacy, mathematics, and so on in the Greek language. It's very important because when I first used this book in the English language, some of them were not so many familiar and was also afraid of the course. And I have made this book especially dedicated for coding. In this book, I introduce them why we are teaching coding, how to teach coding, and how to effectively combine the use of programming screen-based, like Scratch Junior, with unplugged activities, with educational robotics, with outdoor activities, and so on. And of course, the half of the book is full of activities, how easily to introduce Scratch Junior to preschool classroom. And because in the kindergarten we are working with playful activities and we have the freedom to make connection between different literacies, we have this kind of book which is full of activities for mathematics and science, and this book which is full of activities how to make playful activities without the use of computer, free screen-based activities. So we are using all these books. All these books are free for the students, and also I have made them in digital copies. They are also free for the in-service kindergarten teachers, because during the academic year we make a lot of webinars and online and insight seminars for the in-service teachers also, because the new Greek curriculum asks them to introduce now coding skills, educational robotics, since the preschool education. And of course in primary education. So we are using all this, and if you want to see this, in case you are interested or you want to inform your partners, this is also, it's free online of course, and if you want you can ask MIT to take the rights to translate it also in the Greek language. This is in Greek, means kindergarten, first grade class, second grade class. So you see, we have a continue from the very beginning to until the second grade on primary school. And we, both kindergarten teachers and primary school teachers can use it for free. It's very, very easily, if you can see here. Everything is in, they can download it. Everything is here in this very flexible approach. They can use why they use it, what are the skills they have to learn, how to evaluate their students, and so on. So, this is, I told, everything is free. Okay. We are using videos, and we are making also, I'm sharing with them half-baked code, so as to cultivate their debugging skills. And this is my end of my presentation. If you are interested in this, I'm very happy to contact with you. And now we are going to work like my students to see this tool, to see how useful is this tool, and of course, how easy. Do you have any previous experience with coding? No. Okay, so this will be a test. Okay, so just a moment to find the browser. Okay, so here, as we are working with PCs, and maybe you don't have tablets with you, we are going to work with a version of Scratch Junior which is dedicated for PCs. But first, prior to this, I'm going to present you the official site. This is the official site. I don't know which language is this. It's not Greek, it's not English. Spanish. Okay, it doesn't matter. So here, for instance, you can see you can download it for free from the App Store, from Google Play and Amazon App Store. Okay, if you want to use your mobile phones or your tablets, but in our case here, because we have PCs, we are going to use the versions for computers. So we have to write this one in Google. Sorry, I didn't write one. Scratch Junior for desktop.
Δεν είμαι σίγουρη ότι είναι εντάξει να το registers. Πρέπει να το ρωτήσουμε.
Δηλαδή,
Κάτι που λες εδώ δεν είμαι σίγουρη ότι... αυτό δεν νομίζω ότι δουλεύει. Μπορεί κάποιοι να δουλεύουν, μπορεί όχι.
Okay, it doesn't matter. They told me in Greece that some of these computers may not be working properly or not. It doesn't matter if you have... Yes, of course. And I'm going to present here how we can work with this. So, if we want to download for computers, for Mac or for Windows-based PC, we have to write in the Google Scratch Junior for desktop, and we can see that the first result is this one. So, let me explain this. This is Scratch Junior is an open source project. This means that you can download it and adapt it on your needs. So, some programmers took it and adapted it to work instead of Android or smartphones to work on PC. So here you can see you can download the version for Mac, and here you can download the version for Windows. For instance, here we have Windows, and as I'm not working on my laptop, I'm going to download it. Was supposed to be downloaded, I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to save it here in the downloads. It's already there. Okay, my apologies, but this is not my PC. Okay, so you can see that the executable file was already downloaded on my hard disk, so we're just going to run it. Do not afraid of these messages, of these Windows useless messages. We just choose run. Yes, great. Just wait to synchronize all of our machines. Yes, you are doing very well. So, we're waiting now for the app to be installed. If you have smartphones, of course, it will be much more easier to download it from the official site, from Google or App Store. But usually the first time it doesn't take so much time, but I don't know the capabilities of this PC, so we have to wait.
So, where are you using Scratch? Drone School or other?
Excuse me?
Asking me if it's school, home, or other.
It doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, there is no matter.
Choose other.
The app is very secure, no ads, no everything, so do not worry about the questions. But I don't know why.
That's weird.
Yes, unfortunately, because of the earthquake, we have all these difficulties. But okay, maybe you didn't have before this kind of experience, eh? Okay. I was in Italy, in Apennine Mountains, in a small city in Teramo, when the huge earthquake was hit Italy, and I think 25 people were killed in this day. Yes, everything was collapsed in this city. Yes, it was a bit terrified. But here we are accustomed in this earthquake, so we just wake up and then we slept again. Okay, finally it opened. So, as you already asked, here if you choose school or home or other, it doesn't matter. Make no sense. But as we are here in a school, even big school, I'm going to choose school. And here, okay, there are some help. We don't care about it. You have me for any questions. And we are going to go to home. And if we are going to home, you can see the main interface, you can see here it's empty. If you see my interface, you will see full of projects. And unfortunately, I'm not able to see these projects because they are very, very useful, but because the students made them. But if you want to make now a new project, it's very easy. We just have to press the plus sign. And here we are. This is the main hero of the app, and maybe some of them we are working on smartphones. You may notice that you don't have this cartoon, this sprite, but you have a cat.
Yes.
Yes, it's because of the permissions, because the official app is using the cat, the other app is using this, but the functionality is exactly the same.
Okay.
And also, we are going to delete this sprite. We are going to make something more personal. So, in order to delete something, we can choose this with the mouse or with our finger. We have to press it for 2 seconds. And you can see this one. So we just press the X.
Shall we do it?
Yes,
Okay.
no worries. Okay, and in case you erase it accidentally, you can recall it back from here. And also, you can see here some more informations about this character or sprite, as we call them. You can also delete it from here. 1, 2. We have 2 different ways to delete a character. Okay, let's now create our first app. Everything is included in this app so as to be very easy for children and of course for the teachers. I'm talking about that because prior of this, if we want to educate or to create a kind of this app, we had for instance to programming with Flash. I don't know if you're familiar with Flash software. It is very, very difficult. You have to learn a language, a programming language like Java. It's called ActionScript 3. Very difficult. It's object-oriented programming. And it was very difficult for everyone to learn that. But here, everything is included. And what I'm meaning? First of all, let's see for our story what sprites, what characters we are going to include. If we press this sign, you can see here there is a gallery of ready-made characters we can use. So, you see, this is very useful because you can see all these characters are very playful, both for my students and for the students. And this is what my students enjoy really, really in the classroom. The astronaut. Why? First of all, we can choose a character and then press this sign to introduce this character in the skin. We can take it from here to move it. And because this is not very nice, the interface and the background, we are going also to use a ready-made background. For instance, if we press here, you can see there are ready-made backgrounds. No need to look in the internet, no need to create our own. For instance, as we have an astronaut, let's make him in the moon. You can see also that they have decided its background or its character
is appropriate for each landscape.
Yes, yes. Also, I'm going to explain to you some also appropriate approach they have used. For instance, also, I want to see that for the background, it's the name, because they want to make the connections, the students, between the background and the very easily to remember and learn word. This is what I told you, that this app is not used only to learn coding skills, but also to make connections between literacy, mathematics, and so on. So, nice. Better than before. A very nice background and a very nice astronaut. Okay, so, you can see here, in this area, that the background, it seems like a page. Because this app is dedicated for young age children, they left us, the creators of the program, to create only 4 pages. And when I asked them why we have the option only to create 4 pages and not 5 or even an unlimited number like the Scratch, the biggest app, they told me that they have worked together with educational psychologists, and they told them that if we put more info here, it will be very difficult for the children in this age to handle this kind of knowledge. So you can see that everything is dedicated to the way children think, understand, and work. But if we want to add more pages to make a small story, we can press this. So we have page 2, we have page 3, and we have page 4, and nothing more. You see, no plus sign anymore. And later on, we can learn how we can make the connections to move between the first to second or randomly. It's very, very easy. But now, I'm going to return to the first page, and I'm going now to see you also why this app is very lovely for the young children, because you remember we have already choose this astronaut. Maybe someone would like this astronaut to have not a white color, but a different color. We can, you know, here is the astronaut. You can see here the brush. If we press the brush, here is an embedded paint app. We don't have to use external apps. Everything is included in the app. So children, they can take, for instance, this color, you see here, and they say that I want the astronaut to be yellow, or I want his shoes and gloves to be like this. And what is also very, very important, and everyone like this, but unfortunately I don't have a camera, but you can do that in your phone, is that you can see here a camera. This is the camera. If you take the camera and go here in the face and put your face here, but now I don't have a camera, so they cannot work, you can see that your face is inside the astronaut. Yes, both my students and the preschoolers have exactly the same reaction. And this is one of the reasons I am using this app, because I want the children in kindergarten. Yes. You really enjoyed it. You remind me my students. Yes.
Look at my pretty face.
Yes, exactly. Because what we want in our schools, we want to enhance our children with playful activities. And of course,
Maybe I don't.
yes, but when I'm referring to children, I'm referring also my students. I want to tell them that programming, block-based programming, is not something difficult. It's not like to programming in Python or Java. It's not my intention. My intention is to introduce easy and playful activities both for them and for their students. Because what the research says, if the teacher doesn't like programming or doesn't think it useful, he's not going to introduce it in her classroom. So I'm going to work with playful activities. This is a very nice activity, and also what the research says is that it's very useful when we're working with children to give them the opportunity to create authentic activities, activities based on their needs, on their interests. So, based on this approach, to take photos of them, of themselves, and so on, it's very easy to create projects that are very close to their needs, to their interests. Also, so unfortunately I cannot use my laptop to see also my face, but you can see it on your phones. And after we can adjust the character based on our needs, we can again introduce it in the app. And now we have a character on our needs. Also, what I found very, very useful when we are going with my students outside of the classroom and we are going to the park and so on, you can take this app and instead of, for instance, instead of going here and use a pre-made background, you can also do the same. You can choose an empty background, as you can see. You can go to the paint. You can create, for instance, this kind of schema, and again, with your phone or the laptop, to take the camera and photo a real background, a park, a sea, an animal, so as, again, even for the background, to make authentic experience. Also, they like it very much, this approach. Okay. Now, let's go back. Of course, with the same approach, we can introduce as many as characters as we want for our projects. Okay? For instance, we can make the Earth. I have already the Earth, doesn't matter. Okay, the Earth, stars, and so on. So, now, let's start programming. For instance, as we don't have enough time, we are going to make something very, very easy. I'm going to, again, to introduce this character, a rocket, and we are going to make the astronaut to move to the rocket, then to hide himself, to simulate that the rocket now is going to the space. How we are programming this? Although this is an app based for preschoolers, has some very powerful activities. For instance, if we go here in this tab, you can see all these kinds of command blocks. This is the most common block. It says, when I press you the green flag, start the coding. But this is not very useful in our time, which children are very accustomed to work with smartphones and screen-based apps and so on. So we can use this event to trigger an action. What this event says, it's very easy. When with my finger I'm pressing this, do something. We are going to make something like this. And when I'm working with the version or with PC, I just have to go with my mouse in the astronaut and just make a click. So, this is also very important, a trigger block, command block. It says when one character collapses with another character. Do something. And this is also very, very important and a bit more sophisticated. This is broadcasting approach. I don't know if you are familiar with Scratch. A a character sends a message, and many other characters respond to this message. And we have different colors. So one character can communicate with 6 different characters. Of course, someone of you may ask me, is this appropriate for a preschooler? No, but maybe it's appropriate for a 2nd grade primary school student. Because, as I told before, we use this app for 3 classes: preschool, 1st grade, 2nd grade. So some approaches are not appropriate for kindergarten, but is appropriate for bigger classes. Okay, now I have insert on these command blocks in this programming area, but I do not need all these blocks. I have to erase them. How I am erase them? It's very easily. I am just taking this and I'm putting here. You can hear also the sound, so as the child to hear the sound that something is happening. I don't need this. I don't need this. Oh, you can move it also here, eh? Doesn't matter. Okay, and actually, I don't even need this because I am on the rock character, I'm on the rocket. You can see that. I want the astronaut, I want to touch the astronaut and the astronaut to touch to move to the rocket. So I don't need this. Okay, so I'm going to astronaut and I'm going now to write my code. In fact, I'm not writing code, I am synthesize command blocks. So when I press the astronaut, I want the astronaut, you see, this is the blue family. Here are all the motion blocks, move, turn, go backward, and so on. I want my astronaut to move 1 step, but maybe 1 step is very close. I want 2 steps. I want 3 steps. You know, we are programming similar to a puzzle. Children are very familiar with this. Okay, let's see what's happened. If you also, maybe sometimes we don't want the children to see the code behind the scene because we have to ask them how we did that. So in this case, we can maximize the app. You can see there is no code now, but it's fully functional. So I can. Okay, so this is an approach I'm using with my students. I'm telling them which the problem, and the problem is that I didn't put an adequate number of motion blocks to go to the rocket. So I'm going back, I'm pressing this over there, this blue button to reset the character. We don't have to move it, I just reset the character, and of course we are saying now that we have to put 3 more motion blocks. Let's try again. Great. And I don't know if you see that, how it's developmentally appropriate for the students to learn. You can see that they see here a visual effect, how one command, as we say, nothing is hidden. Everything is on the foreground, not in the background, because we don't want the students to think that it's something magical or to give in this app anthropomorphism activities. We want just to see that it's something that they can code it, they can control it. Again. Great. Okay, now, after some lessons, I'm saying my students, not even in the first lesson, I'm saying my students that now you are great, you have learned one of the 3 basic programming structures, the sequence. Command, one after another. And after some lessons, I'm telling them that, okay, this is great, but, you see, one command, same. Why? We can also use this approach, and this is very useful for the students, the preschoolers, to make the connection with mathematics. We ask them, count how many are these? 8. Okay. The students can count from 0 to 10 in preschool. And we tell them, instead of using this, why don't we make this? You can see here. Instead of using this sequence, just press 8. And we explain them that this is exactly the same. Instead of using this, you can use this. And you see now we are start making a connection with my early mathematics. Also, later on, if I have a pattern, for instance, okay, maybe this is not so useful. I'm going to, sorry, I can erase everything here and here. I'm going to make another small example to see you how we are introducing our students in university and preschoolers the pattern. I'm going to make this girl in a classroom. Great, here is the classroom. And I want to make the girl to move somewhere here. To make this, again, I'm going to use the green flag, and I'm going to make this one. You see, if I make this, you see, it's moving like this. Okay, so I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. Okay, let's see. Great. So, after a few lessons, again, we are asking students to tell us what they see. And we explain them that we can see here a pattern. 2 blocks, 2 blocks, 2 blocks, 2 blocks. And we are asking them, can you make it, instead of making all this, to make it something, the previous approach? Many students, they say yes. And they are telling us that we can make 4 like this and 4 like this. Great? You are wrong. You make exactly the same mistake like my students and the preschoolers. Exactly. Because you can see now that it's going. Okay, it's nice, but it's not that we are looking for. Okay, so we are telling them that this is wrong. When we have patterns, we have to use this very useful approach, which also the second more useful structure programming, irritation. And we are telling them that instead of using all this, we can just make this and this. And it is exactly the same. And you see how the child sees the way the coding is operating inside an irritation. So, this is the way we are introducing, I'm introducing my university students who are novice programmers. They are not familiar with programming at all. Most of them, they have also bad memories during their years in high school because they try to introduce them textual programming languages like Java or Python, which are not dedicated for them and not useful and very difficult. So, immediately after a few lessons, they felt themselves very, very familiar with this app, and with the use of these books, they have the knowledge to introduce it in the kindergarten. And I know them because in the 3rd and the 4th year, they have to go to kindergartens for practices, daily practices, and I ask them their experience in that. They say that they make it very, very easily. And of course, both the students, but also the teachers, the in-service teachers in the kindergartens, they are very enthusiastic about this app. Because as I told you, the new curriculum asks for them to introduce this kind of skills in the daily practice. I don't know, do we have more time or not?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
How many minutes?
I would say up to 15.
Okay. Okay, yes.
I have a question. So I find that the objects of the astronaut and the rocket, they have action at the same time. Do you also teach
Parallel programming.
Yeah.
We are teaching them parallel programming, yes.
But how do you make actions for both objects?
It's very easy. We are going to see that. Okay, so let's make another example. I am going to erase them. I'm going to erase them. I'm returning in the astronaut. So I'm thinking that the Earth is not a good example, as I have already an Earth. I'm going to introduce I'm going to introduce this one, a meteorite. And I'm going to tell you now how I'm introducing my students the parallel programmings, something between different sprites, different characters, to happen to immediately in the same time. So it's very, very easy because everything it's happened in parallel if we are using the same event trigger block in different characters. For instance, here in the shooting star, I'm going to make it working by pressing the green flag. For instance, I'm going to make it to move one way in this direction, but forever. If we put this block, it says do the action forever, never stop. Let's see that. It's a nice effect. Okay, but also I'm going now with the same event to tell the astronaut to go to the rocket. So I am going to the astronaut. I don't need now this event, and I'm going to take this. You remember, it's exactly the same with this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell move 9 steps. You remember the pad, and do nothing. Let's see. You see, it's parallel programming because both characters are operating at the same time. But this is working forever because I told them do the same motion forever. But the astronauts, after 9 steps, it's going there. Okay. If I want to stop now, I have to press the red button here. And if I want to reset my characters at the beginning, I press this. Okay. Now, what I want to make it more sophisticated, I want now, when the astronaut reaches the rocket, to make an effect that the astronaut is going inside the rocket. We cannot do that, but I'm going to make him hide himself. It's very easy. You can see here is another family of commands. It's about show. For instance, here we can make a message. I'm arrived. Here we can make him bigger or smaller, hide and unhide. So, for instance, we say that when the astronaut reaches the rocket, it says, you see, this is a ready-made message, but we can tell the students to learn another word, for instance, ready. Or it supports also any other language. For instance, this is ready in Greek. Okay, and ready for the rocket. And then I want to hide him. Let's see what we have made. Okay, you see the meteorite still is moving and so on. Then, after that, we want to make the rocket to go to the space. How we are going to make it? We are going to go here to the rocket character and we are going to use this command when a character collapses with another one, when the astronaut meets the rocket. So what we want the rocket to move to the space. So we want, when this happens, we want the rocket to go to the outer space, and then, yes, but prior to this, we want to make the effect to make it smaller and then to hide himself. Let's see our creation. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's just a beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
Then imagine that, for instance, here we want to have a full story of the spaceship in another galaxy. Okay, I'm going here to move a ready-made background, for instance, this one. It's very nice. And I am going to make the rocket to move in the space. First of all, what I have to do now in the Scratch is the app to move from one page to another. This is very, very easy because if we are going here, you can see that we have thumbnails of the different pages. And if you can see here, it says 2, 3, 4. So as to know which pages is. We want from the page 1 to move to page 2. And see the effect. It's like when we are connecting puzzles. Here we can see that nothing cannot connect here, but also here we can see that nothing cannot connect here. So here stops our story in this page, and we are moving to the second page. Now, in the second page, it's empty. We have to make the code. First of all, what we are going to do? The rocket is too big. I'm going to make him small. We can make this one. I can take this command here, and if I press it one time, the rocket is getting smaller. If I press it one more time, or even I can make it very small, or even you can see that the app is very flexible for the children to make a project based on their needs or their imagination. But in our approach, I'm going to make this is a nice size, and I can turn the rocket, because the rocket is not going up, it usually is moving horizontally. So, and what else we learn to our students, because we want them to make correct programming, we are telling them that when you are using some commands, blocks, and then you don't need them, erase them. Not leaving in your programming area blocks you don't need. So, after we are transforming the rocket on our needs, we erase this and we erase this. So we are now ready to programming our rocket very easily to move from here to here and then to move to another page and so on.
So you train them to tidy the window.
Exactly. Exactly. And as I told before, all these activities are based on the curriculum. In our curriculum, each lessons, we spend almost 15 minutes on this. All the other activities are non-screen based activities, and especially the last 5 minutes are activities how to close properly our tablets, how to secure them properly on the rack, and not leaving any unnecessary on the desk. So we are using exactly the same approach in the programming as well. Because we want to see that programming, it's not something unfamiliar to them. It's just another approach to express themselves.
There are many icons in the screen, and I wonder, for the primary school students, are they quick enough to understand the action and the icon?
Yes, it's very easily for them. But if you introduce them correctly, you are not going to introduce abstract concepts at the very beginning. You are going to work them at very easy tasks and then gradually make the tasks more complicated, more sophisticated. But we have seen from research from my university, but also from research from the United States, that it's very easy for them to understand and work with them.
I have another question about evaluation. Like, how do you evaluate? For example, I was thinking, if the astronaut is under the water and it doesn't match with the context, do you also...
No, we don't evaluate them because we don't care about the story. This is the reason that I was mentioned that students are free to make real stories or even imagination, to use their imagination. We don't evaluate them on their projects, we evaluate them on the complexity of their projects. And we have, not myself, but MIT and Boston College and Tufts University have made 3 different tests which are validated to evaluate students in the complexity of their projects. There is a rubric which made available. Also, we have included this in the books. We have another test to evaluate them in computational thinking skills. And now, to help the teachers, I'm working with the University of Zaragoza in Spain and the Polytechnic of Barcelona, and they have made a tool, but I'm adapting in the Greek settings. They called it Dr. Scratch. In this app, you take a project, you upload it, and the app immediately analyzes it in different computational thinking concepts like abstractions, irritation, sequencing, complexity, and so on. So we have plenty of tools validated to help, especially to help teachers to evaluate the work with their students.
I would like also to ask, all the preschool children right now are getting familiar with signal language and symbolic language. What about language abilities themselves? I mean, when they start to be at school, do they have the same level of language activity, language abilities?
No, we know that.
Any research results about it?
We know that from research.
Yeah.
For the Greek settings, it was a part of my PhD. Because the different informal environments they are living, we know that in a preschool classroom, children are coming with different knowledge levels everywhere, in mathematics, in literacy, even in coding. But we don't care about that because we are starting from the very, very beginning. We have the same level for all children, but during the classes, we notice that some children are more familiar with this, so we have also some extra activities for them. For instance, in this book, when I tell them, now you have to teach the sequence, I have a page dedicated, and I'm saying, if you have advanced students, then give them extra work for school or for home, because what is very, very important is that this app, we use it very much during the pandemic. If you see here, I forgot to mention that, you can see this. Here we can save that. full moon, astronaut, and so on. But if you are going on your app on the smartphone, here you can see that you have the option to send an email. So during the pandemic, my teachers in the preschool education use this app. Children work on their homes and they receive their projects in their email. So even in the kindergarten, we have introduced an effective online learning method. Yes. And why you can see this button for parents? In order to prevent unnecessary actions for the children, because we want the parents to, together with the parents, to send this. And if you press this for parents, you can see that they ask you a simple mathematical, but it's very simple for us, I suppose, but not for the children. Okay? And if they press it correctly, 37, now you can see that you have here an email. If you press that, you just have to enter the email of the teacher, and the project is an attachment in this email. And so the teacher received the project for the students. This worked very effectively during the pandemic.
How many sessions take all these? How many sessions
What
with
is it?
students? I mean, how many lessons? How many classes? How many times you train students? Pupils?
If I understood correctly,
Kids.
our curriculum
Yes.
is based on 23 lessons.
Yes, this was the question.
23
And
lessons.
also, if teachers notice that I know that during the preschool age 4 or 5, all the acknowledgement that they gain is by play. So
course.
play is the main
Of
activity.
course.
Language, skills, everything is by
course.
play. So this is really amazing. I don't want to be a dentist anymore.
Yes,
It was really
yes.
impressive. But
We don't.
my question is, if teachers notice that there is something wrong, because they have very, very developed imagination in this age period. We all know Carlson who lived on the roof and that stuff, yes. But sometimes scenario might be awkward. It can be something that is imaginary, but it's too much, and it can lead to some wrong links and wrong understanding. For example, rocket under the water, or dog in space, something like this. I know that this is about computer skills, but even coloring of the figures, it can be psychologically analyzed.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Of course.
and if the teachers note that there is something wrong one time, second time
course.
about the scenario, do they direct kids or they leave them just to develop their computer?
So far, I have no experience in that.
Okay.
The service teachers have identified this kind of patterns. But yes, this will be very useful. But so far, I have no experience of that.
Turn on?
Yes, turn on, to on.
No, I have not experience on it. Just not to forget it, all this approach is based on an approach we call them digital playground instead of digital playpen. Dr. Amanda Bess in the Boston University, who is the co-creator of this app, says that when we are using coding with preschoolers, we have to follow exactly the same approach like we are leaving the children free in a playground, instead of leaving the children in a playpen. You know, the playpen is when we have 1 year, 2 year children in a very close pattern. But in a playground, they are free to do whatever they want, to play, to fight each other. We don't care about that. This is exactly the same approach we are using, the digital playground. Also, Mitch Resnick, who is the founder of Scratch, says that we have to introduce children in this kind of approach, a constructivistic approach. Children work on an empty paper, tabula rasa exactly, and create what they need. And also, Resnick supports that the next big thing in coding for young age children is not to try to cultivate their computational thinking skills, but instead to try to cultivate their computational fluency, to leave them alone to create what they want. And this is the approach of this app and the approach of the curriculum we are using in the classroom.